Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. We're less than 24 hours away from Path of Exile 2's new expansion that's coming out, the Third Edict, and that includes the new league, Rise of the Abyssal, and it's looking really good. I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched the reveal or been watching lots of content on YouTube based around it. So there's a lot of stuff coming with this expansion that I think we're all really excited about. I gotta say, it's nice to feel excited to play PoE 2 again. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about some things that I really like from the expansion and then go over for what my build plans as far as a league starter and the build I'm hoping to transition into afterward. Stuff like adding the third act with the interlude acts. We were all getting really tired of cruel difficulty, I think, by the end, especially people, if you're like me and you've made 10 to 12 different characters, you've run those first three acts a lot of times, right? So getting some new interlude acts, which you don't actually need to complete or play in any particular order. You can play through half of each one if you want. You can play through one and then do half of the other ones. You can literally do them in whatever order you want. If there's one that you find, oh, I really like this interlude act, you can run that one specifically. It's just there to be able to have something fresh to play through, so then you can get to around level 65, 70 that you need in order to enter endgame. We're getting lots of things to deepen the build crafting this league. That's something I'm really excited about. So major rebalances of all the classes. The notables are huge for the skill tree. I hope that leads to a lot of new, more interesting builds. A lot of the PoE 2 builds up until this point were quite cookie cutter, kind of. A lot of people were running similar trees, and that's due to the passive tree kind of being a little lacking. There weren't as many options. So hopefully 150 new notables, that means at least a couple hundred new passive skills, because the notables are the major passives and you still have all the minor passives in the wheel to get to those notables. So we're looking at a very expanded skill tree, and with the addition of multiple copies of the same support gem can now be used, I think it's going to allow for some really cool builds this league. This one I don't think needs any explanation at all. Asynchronous trade. People have been screaming about it for years and years in this game. I'm somewhat of a new player, having started playing PoE in Affliction. So honestly, I didn't really mind trading too much. With the launch of PoE 2, I think there was a massive influx of new players and they weren't really aware of the etiquette that surrounds trading in Path of Exile 1. So it made PoE 2 trading a lot more toxic in terms of people not responding, people changing the prices on things, lowballing you by an insane amount. There was just tons of stuff that made it a lot more annoying for PoE 2 than it was in PoE 1. So I've definitely changed my perspective, and now I'm super happy that we're getting this option. And I really like that they're keeping some interaction with it where you go to the other person's hideout. I think having that socialization and being able to, see other people's hideouts and see things, and maybe you can send a little message to the person at the end still when you're done saying, thank you. I don't know, I just like that little bit of socialization and interaction in a game that for the most part, I play completely solo. So we're also getting tons of new maps. We're getting the sprinting. I think the sprinting is going to be amazing for backtracking. When you get to a dead end in PoE 2, it's honestly kind of like I get a little depressed. It's like, oh God, now I got to run all the way back down this massive thing. Sprinting is going to make that a lot easier. A lot of people are kind of overhyping the whole you get knocked down if you get hit while you're sprinting thing. On one hand, it does sound quite bad because you're basically getting Morgana queued mid sprint and you're stunned for, eternity, it feels like. But I think it's going to be quite easy to just kind of like, either dodge roll at your sprint, because they do have it where you kind of hold it and then you're able to let it go and your guy will keep sprinting. So you can kind of dodge roll again mid sprint if something gets close to you, or, if you start firing an ability, then that will also end the sprint. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I'm thinking it's just going to be a great addition. Lots of crafting changes are nice. Not sure how I feel about the changes to the crafting currencies, in terms of adding like a greater and a perfect version of a few different currencies. Feels a little cluttered. And then, are people going to be still trading exalts into divines? Are people going to be only trading perfect exalts and divines? Are perfect exalts going to be, how rare are these new currencies going to be? A lot of questions I have. I'm sure those will get answered very early into the league. like I said, I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen this, but if you haven't had an opportunity, there is the full content update here on the Path of Exile forum where you can go through and see exactly what all the changes are being made. We're still missing the passive tree, which does limit the amount of planning you can do for the league quite significantly. It's very hard to know what skills are going to work and what's going to be good without that skill tree. There are a few builds that are tried and true, so you don't really need to know what the additional nodes are going to be on the tree. It's pretty much going to work as long as there's some generic damage and stuff like that. But without that skill tree, it is hard to kind of come up with your own league starter. A lot of people are interested in Hollow Palm, so seeing where that node is located on the tree in order to be able to plan out, your league start. One hand, it is kind of cool that we're all going in a little blind at least, without having the tree. On the other hand, it is nice to be able to plan out what you're doing, not have to spend a bunch of time when the league launches reading through all the passive tree, right? So that being said, I do think we will see a data mined version of the passive tree. I remember I think it might have been 0.2, but the passive tree did end up getting data mined from the update to the expansion that came out. I think it was like at the middle of the night. I think it was around 2 or 3 a.m. The data mine went out for the passive tree. So there is a chance that we do get it before the expansion. And for me, the launch time is 4 p.m. Eastern. So if it does get leaked in the middle of the night, at least I'll be able to wake up and look through the changes in the morning before the patch. That would be really nice if that happens. So based on that, what are my plans for my league starter? And I am going to be a meta cuck and league start Deadeye. I'm following Fubgun's guide here. I already know what the tree is. This is like I mentioned before. Basically every Deadeye build uses this same generic pathing. Gives you a lot of damage, elemental damage, and attack speed. So I'm gonna be following that for the start. I have a bit of plans this weekend, so I don't want to get too behind on my league start. I was thinking about starting a Gemling Flicker Strike character and leveling with bows and going through that, but I just don't want to be too behind once I get back and I'm able to play again. I'm just going with something tried and true. I've started Lightning Arrow. I've played it before, so I'm just gonna do it again. Get through the campaign quick, get to the end game, be able to farm a little bit before I leave, and then when I come back, hopefully people have figured out Flicker Strike, which is the build I want to transition into, and we're able to do that. Flicker Strike actually got a big change to its quality. So quality now provides 0 to 20% more damage per power charge consumed instead of 0 to 20% chance to not remove charges on use. So I'm not too familiar with Flicker Strike as I kind of played 0.2 at the start and then moved on pretty quickly last league. So I wasn't someone who got to play. I did see that there was an infinite Flicker Strike build where you're able to get to 100% chance not to remove charges on use. So apparently now that is not going to be the case because of the changes to the quality on the gem. But I'm assuming there's still going to be some good Flicker builds, and you know, it might happen where Flicker changed to just a bossing build. You know, with this amount of power charge, people were having stacking up to 8 power charges. I saw. So if you're having 160% more damage, when I was already seeing videos of Flicker Strike one flickering bosses, that it's most likely going to be a very good bosser. So we'll see what happens. My goal is to basically get a Flicker Strike build up and going this league. I think it looks really fun, so that's something I want to try. So I've already league started bows a few times, so I'm quite comfortable with it. And that's what we're going to be doing. Just the basic lightning arrow. He's got everything you need here, different levels, what to take when. One thing I will say is he does have a Stormcaller arrow variant, which he plays till 27. I did try that out, and it is, I don't know, it's a little clunky because you have to wait for the detonation to happen on Stormcaller arrow. So personally, I'm going to be doing this version, which he actually updated to recently, which is just running Lightning Arrow and Lightning Rod straight through level 1 to 27. Um, I'm probably going to end up doing this just because I found, yeah, Stormcall Arrow just felt a little janky. The damage was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Damage was good, but it was more like dealing with packs of monsters and dealing with stuff. It just wasn't really worth it. And then I was swapping out gems. You know, you're swapping out scatter shot for concentrated effect when you're on bosses. Yeah, I'm just going to do the old lightning arrow, lightning rod special. That works really well. Freezing salvo's getting a buff, so that's going to be even better than it is now. And it's just super comfy. You know, you're going to get your tailwind quite early, and then you're just flying around the map. And that's what I want to do. I want to have a smooth transition into the end game and be able to farm up a bit so that, like I said, when I come back, I'm in a good spot to transition to Flicker Strike. Now, if you're a newer player, I saw this video come up today, and Ziz Early put it out, and it's good early game tips for Path of Exile 2, and it has some good stuff in here, especially if you're a new player. So tips on getting your loot filter, disenchanting or selling for gold, you know, when you should upgrade your weapons, tips for upgrading things, you know, not sleeping on auto attacks in Act 1. A lot of people don't realize how strong auto attacks actually are in PoE 2. You know, life and resist and why they're important. If you're a new player, you're looking for tips on, you know, getting better at the game and things like that, I think this is a good video to check out. Everything that I've gone through today, I'll have linked in the description. Fubgun's video, Ziz Early's video, Fubgun's Mobalytics guide, and then a link to the patch notes as well. But that's gonna do it, guys. I'd love to hear what you guys are league starting. So if you've got cool plans, if you're gonna be a meta cuck just like me, sure to let me know in the comments section. And yeah, good luck on your league starts tomorrow. It's gonna be a ton of fun logging in with the boys. And here we go again, man. League start, always a great time in Path of Exile is when there's a new league start. So yeah, good luck tomorrow. See you guys in the next one. Peace.